What's goody? Yo, yo, yo. Who's in the building today on a Sunday? Just checking in with my YouTube family, the Sways. Where's my Sways at? A couple of you that exist, anyways. Yeah. So, how important I wonder how important it is these days to really have a lot of subscribers. Because I'm getting close to 60K. What's good? Nola, what's good? Miss Handu, appreciate you. Yeah, so just on this live stream. Yeah, so I had some pretty interesting things happen this week in the home studio. So if any of you guys actually care about music equipment, is there any of you who actually owns any pianos or synthesizers, keyboards, or drum machines? If you do, just say something, because I got some pretty interesting information. So, but I had a nightmare incident that happened in the studio this week. So I bought this keyboard called the Krumar Spirit, which is a fully analog synthesizer. And it's been in many of my videos. I've been, making a lot of tracks with it. It does really well for the bass. Like, it has that crazy, like, fat low end on the bass. So I've got a lot of comments from you guys talking about how, the low end on this particular beat is super dope. And that's because that the keyboard, the Krumar Spirit, it has that really fat low end to the bass. And I was plugging it up a couple days ago, and it wouldn't turn on. And I was like, oh hell no! I'm sure I just got to reboot it. Maybe I gotta go to the fuse box in the house or something, flip on and off. Maybe I thought it was the fuse box or whatever. But I tested out all the other keyboards on the same outlet, and it wasn't the fuse box. So I was like, oh, that's strange. So I said, no, let me just plug this right in again. Let me try this out, make sure I'm not tripping. Plug it in again, try to switch it on, nothing. So I pretty much kept doing that all day, or not all day, but the rest of the night. I'm plugging the keyboard back in, unplugging it, plugging it back in, taking it off the stand, making sure that there's nothing funny, or making sure that I didn't hit the voltage switch, because it has a voltage selector. If you're if you're in Europe, you can switch it to a different voltage. Obviously, I'm in America, so I just keep the American voltage on it. But so I'm doing everything that I could think of to try to make sure that I'm not tripping. And maybe there has to be a simple reason of why it's not turning on. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to turn on. I tried to switch, the power cord. That didn't work. I tried to wiggle the power cord. I tried to mess with the fuse box, not the fuse box in the house, but there's, the fuse box on the keyboard where the power cord comes out from. I tried seeing if anything was going on with that. Couldn't find nothing. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. The price of the Krumar Spirit keyboard, y'all, was $4,300 with the tax on it. And I only had it for 3.5 months. So it was like, that's a big investment, when it comes to studio equipment, considering that I could just download some plugin for free and make beats with it. It was a serious investment. And only 3.5 months of usage, and it just completely stopped powering on. And I'm like, this got to be some kind of joke. So I contact Reverb. So if you guys buy buy music equipment, reverb.com is a very popular place to find deals, and you can find people selling secondhand as well. This, however, was brand new. I'm glad that I got it brand new, because I'm going to show you why it's good that I got it brand new. So I purchased it from the website reverb.com, but I bought it from Perfect Circuit. So it was Perfect Circuit's reverb store was selling this synthesizer. So the good thing about that is Perfect Circuit is a legit business out there in Burbank, California. They got a massive, music equipment shop with all the keyboards that you could ever imagine, all the drum machines, guitars, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have guitars as well, but the main focus is the synthesizers. So they have all the new-ish and all the vintage synthesizers. So it's if you're out there near Burbank, California, you got to go check out Perfect Circuit because their store is absolutely insane. But I checked on their website, and luckily, most of their new products have an extended free warranty. So I was like, ooh, thank God, because if they didn't have that warranty, I might be that might have I could have been out $4,300, just completely gone. You know what I mean? Because where I live, there isn't any repair shops for keyboards. They don't have anything like that. Anything nearby. And the places that might do it, it's like, you got to drive 3-4 hours. Then you got to probably drop, you got to drop 600-700 plus. And I've never had to repair a keyboard. I mean, I used to do little small repairs for stuff on my own if it wasn't too crazy, but this was, a little bit over my head. It was beyond my skill level of trying to repair something. So luckily they had that extended free warranty, and I called them up and I told them what happened, and they said, hey, don't worry about it. We got a free warranty on this. All you got to do is pay for the postage and send it back, and we'll send you a brand new Kumar Spirit. And so needless to say, I was very relieved. I haven't got it yet, so I think I should get it probably by Thursday or Friday. They should be sending out by tomorrow. So I've already sent the old one back that was completely it was completely non-functioning. Like it wouldn't even flicker or do anything after just that one try. It flickered for the very first time before I knew it was not working. And after that, I could never get it to even show any kind of proof of any kind of power going through or anything like that. So yeah, luckily I had that extended warranty that comes free when you buy from Perfect Circuit, because Reverb they wasn't able to do anything for me. So, unfortunately, but Perfect Circuit had that warranty. So luckily I'll be getting a brand new Kumar Spirit this coming week. So, but that's just my little story, y'all, on how, what to do when your synthesizers stop working. Because, man, if you're anything like me, my music equipment is everything for me. Being able to make tracks and make this music for everybody, and for myself as well, just because it's what I love to do. You know what I mean? So it was pretty crazy. What's good, Edward? Appreciate you. It's pretty crazy when you spend, quite a bit of money investing into music equipment, and something breaks down. It's insane. It's insane for me because I've never had it happen. I got some pretty funny stories with the keyboards that I've owned through the years. So I've been buying keyboards ever since I'm talking since I was 13 years old, y'all. So I've been really collecting keyboards for years. So, the first couple keyboards I ever bought, it was obviously I didn't buy it. My mom bought the first couple keyboards, when I was, back 13 at that age and stuff. And I remember having a keyboard that my dad accidentally knocked down one of his beer cans, fell into the keyboard, and it's poured the whole can just went it was one of those tall cans, just dripped all the way into to my Radio Shack keyboard that I had back then. And I probably cried or something. I was only 13, and I was devastated. And my mom told me just to let it dry out. She wiped it down. She wiped it down, and she told me, "Hey, just let it dry out for a couple days." And we I let it dry out and eat, and then it eventually came back on. So that was an old, even an old Radio Shack keyboard. It's even with beer poured down the speakers, still was able to power back on. And I got this $4,300 analog synth Krumar Spirit, crazy money. Nothing, it was completely cared for. Nothing ever bad ever happened to it. When I picked it up, I was extra careful. Like, it was completely cared for and I only had it for 3.5 months. Just completely stopped working. It never had anything on it. No water had ever touched it. It was completely cared for. I've never dropped it, never put any water on it, nothing. It was just complete, and just stopped working one night. It was weird. So I'm using that as an example because all the years of collecting music equipment, I've never had something not turn on. Now, I've bought keyboards that had, broken parts before, because like I bought a broken Motif XF that had like it had a broken key at the end. And I was like, oh, I'll still take it because all the other keys work, and it didn't stop the keyboard from functioning. And by the way, I used that Motif to create the Cookie Kawaii Vibe the instrumentation, which eventually ended up going gold, and it's almost on its way to being platinum now. But I used a broken keyboard, y'all, to create the Cookie Kawaii Vibe, and even that broken keyboard still powered on. It still worked. So it had a broken key on there, but it still worked. But I say that to say this. Out of all the keyboards and music equipment and drum machines I've owned, and that I've owned through the time of being a teenager, I've never had one ever break down on me. Even the ones that had busted parts, they still played every note, every preset still played, they always powered on. So imagine buying a brand new keyboard for exactly 4,300 and some change, and that thing stops working after 3.5 months. When I say I wanted to crash out, I mean, I wanted to throw it through this window that you see. Once I realized it wasn't going to turn on, I was going to take the keyboard and throw it through. Well, I felt like I was going to take the keyboard and throw it out of the window into the lake that's down there, 7 floors down. I was so close to just bashing it because I was like, I was so mad. I don't think I've ever been that angry in my life. There's something about when you it's something about when you're passionate about music, and you put, I'm not a big spender. I don't spend a lot of money on other things, to be honest. Me and my wife, we might spoil our son and do little small things, but if that doesn't really cost much money. You might go out to some place, and you might spend $100 or something like that. But I'm not really a big spender, especially maybe when I was in my early 20s. I definitely wasted money on cars and stuff. But in my in my much wiser years, I don't really spend a whole lot on anything else but music equipment, and maybe a couple. I mean, I bought, I like leather jackets and stuff. Those are like $1,000 a pop. But something like this is like, I've had this for 5 years, and they stay in good condition because they're just built to last. But I'm not really a big spender. I'm kind of a minimalist person. But I do put a good amount of money into my music equipment. So when I say that I was really hurt, I mean, my heart was broken when that keyboard wouldn't turn on. And I was talking to my wife, and I was saying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know if the warranty is I don't even know if it had a warranty. I had to research Perfect Circuit and check to see what their warranty was. When I bought it, I didn't even know. It was just an impulse buy. I was just excited. I was like, I got to get this. I didn't look into the warranty. simply because I've never had a problem with the keyboard before. Exactly, Edward. So I never had a problem with the keyboard before. So I don't even, think twice about the warranties most of the time because I've never had to use them. So I was freaking out. I'm telling my wife, what am I going to do? That's $4,300 in the toilet. But the keyboard is such a great sounding keyboard. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't really think I should just go buy another one because so I'm going to check and see if the company has some kind of warranty that will help me, because there's been no damage to the keyboard. It was just stopped working for no reason that I would ever know. Maybe when it got sent, maybe it had been tossed around in the box too many times when they delivered it to me, which is possible. Maybe somebody, sometimes people, when you send stuff off in these places like UPS and FedEx, most of those guys are pretty careful with the packages, but every once in a while you'll probably get somebody who tosses stuff around, and who knows, maybe it got tossed around in the delivery process and I never got to see that. Or possibly maybe it was just sitting in the box for too long, and maybe the part went bad. I don't know. So the keyboard was brand new, but it came out in 2023, but it was a brand new unboxed item. But possibly maybe it was just in that box for too long, and maybe it's just had a faulty component. But I bought it brand new. But like I said, the Kumar Spirit, the Kumar Spirit synthesizers, they're a rare synthesizer. Apparently, there's only a couple hundred reissues. So mine was a 2023 brand new one, but that does mean that it was probably in that box for a couple years. So maybe something went bad on it because it hadn't been it basically was sitting in that box for a couple years before I got to it. So maybe just something had went wrong from just sitting. I heard that it could be bad if synthesizers sit for too long. You got to turn them on here and there. So more than likely, it probably blew a fuse. That's what I think. I think not blown a fuse, but maybe the fuse was already going bad before I even got it. So who knows? Um, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better because the new one's gonna be sent out by tomorrow, hopefully, and I'll get the tracking and everything. But man, it was a crazy experience. I appreciate you, Dorvell. Yeah, out of 30 years of collecting keyboards, this is the first time it's ever happened. So, um, things happen. Electronics break down, and things like that. They happen. So, it's part of life. Cars break down, electronics break down. So it's nothing to, it's not the end of the world, but it can certainly, it definitely can not feel great when it happens, and sometimes it happens. But anybody who buys any kind of electronics or music equipment, definitely check that warranty before you buy it to make sure, just in case there's like a no fault damage. If you just buy the product and it just happens to stop working after a couple months, definitely go make sure you read that warranty to see if they'll help you out, because stuff like that happens. You know what I mean? What's good, Lavish K? Appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you. So yeah. But yeah. So besides that, y'all, of course, I've been working on more new music. I have one less keyboard, so it's a little frustrating not using that keyboard because it provided such a low end to the beats. So I have to make up for it and use. I have a couple other analog synthesizers that have decent bass on them, but I can't wait to get the Kumar back because it had the biggest, it had the deepest sound to the bass where you can really feel it, especially if you play it in the car or something. It's really like you're gonna really feel it, like in your chest. Pause. You're gonna feel it in your chest when that bass hits on that keyboard. You know what I mean? So I can't wait till I get it later on this week, and hopefully the new unit doesn't have any issues. So, but I feel a lot better knowing that um, the Perfect Circuit, they have a great warranty on their not on their used product, but if you buy anything new there, the warranty's good. So if anything goes wrong with the new one, I could always send it back and they can exchange it. But hopefully that's the last time that happened. Maybe I just got unlucky and that particular unit just went bad. So yeah, so that's about it. Hold on, y'all. I gotta go put some clothes in the dryer real quick. Be right back. Be right back. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Gotta stay fresh and clean, man. All right. I'm back. I'm back. But yeah, so needless to say, this week has been a lot going on. So, but you know, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep, luckily I do have another 3 keyboards in the meantime. So it's definitely not gonna stop me from making tracks and whatnot. So we still good. We still good, you know what I mean? So but yeah, y'all. So man, but has anybody else had that experience with music equipment? Yeah, so let's see, Dorvell, you said, I wish I could find a blind friendly full scale 76 keyboard because I've got lots of songs, even though I'm no Ray Charles. Yeah, man. So man, I didn't know that you were blind. So man, but shout out to you, man. Shout out to you for still playing the piano. That's, you know what I mean? Like that's dope. I respect anybody that um that plays a musical instrument, especially when it's harder for you. You know what I mean? So, but look at Stevie Wonder, man. Stevie Wonder is probably arguably the best, piano, keyboard, singer, songwriter, performer of all time who can play. I've never seen anybody who can play keys and sing at the same time as well as he does it. So shout out to Stevie Wonder, and he's doing that all the while he can't see. Now there's a little rumor that people started that saying that he's not really blind, but obviously that's just a rumor. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'm still a little shook from that keyboard breaking down. So I just been extra careful, like unplugging stuff when I'm not using it. I don't know. It's made me very, very paranoid after that because I don't want to take any kind of more losses like that. So, but all the studio that I have right now, I pretty much got all new equipment except for my Prophet 6 that was secondhand. But I've never had any trouble with sequential equipment's never. I've never had any kind, even not even the slightest issue with any of their equipment. their equipment is very sturdy and it's just built to last. So Crumar I've never bought anything from Crumar before. It's an Italian company. So it's my first time owning anything from them. And unfortunately, I got that experience. So makes me kind of, unsure if I'll buy another product from them or not. So hopefully the one they're exchanging it for, hopefully that one ends up lasting me for years and years and years, and will change my view. But anytime I have a bad experience with the company, a lot of times I won't go back. But the Crumar Spirit it sounds so good that I'm just hoping that this new one doesn't, have any issues. So, so let's hope that it doesn't have any issues. If it does, then man, I'll have to, I guess I'll just have to keep exchanging it. But at a certain point, I would probably just ask for my money back. If their products keep having a bunch of issues like that, I'll probably just end up getting my money back. But I hope that it doesn't, though, because man, the sound of the keyboard is absolutely incredible. But sometimes something can sound amazing, but then still have issues. But it's kind of like when you get like a really nice luxury car. The car is dope and it looks nice and it even drives nice, but sometimes those luxury cars, they break down a lot more than your average, maybe you have made like a Toyota or something like that lasts a long time. Is different than, buying a brand new Lamborghini or like a brand new, like a Benz. A lot of those cars are very high maintenance. So sometimes when you get a really nice, when you get really nice music equipment, it's kind of the same thing. Some of the more nicer music equipment, sometimes it does require a bit more care. But again, I've never had anything break down, so this is still a first. So we'll see. So hopefully the second Crumar treats me well, and I can get back to nailing out really dope bass lines and lead sounds, and you know what I mean, like those nice lead sounds and really fat bass patches with it and stuff like that. So yeah, man. But as you can see, I spend a lot of time making beats, so I kind of talk about it, I talk about it a lot. So some of these terms, some people might not understand. When I say bass patch, that's a preset sound on a keyboard. Basically, when you turn the keyboard on, you can select different sounds, and basically that particular keyboard, well, that synthesizer actually didn't have any presets. You actually have to design the sound. So the thing about the Crumar Spirit is it actually it comes out the box where you have to actually tweak the knobs to get the sound that you want. So you can't just push next. There's no button that you can just push next and go to the next sound. You literally have to design the sound and just play it from there. And you can't save it either, but it can be fun doing it like that, because every time you turn the keyboard, every time you use it, you can get a slightly different sound. It forces you to be, definitely, more creative and whatnot. So, but yeah, so can't wait to get that back. And, besides that, I'm just trying to wrap up the summer with a bunch of more dope tracks. I just put out another record. I don't know if y'all heard that one. It's called Fiend, like Fiend, like Jodeci Fiendin', except I just called it Fiend. And that's on my YouTube right now and on Spotify. So I'm actually doing vocals. I produced the track and I recorded vocals. So it's a full song, not just the instrumental. So you can catch that on Spotify and on my YouTube. Go check that out. And yeah, so I just been working on new beats and working on some new projects for other artists, and trying to wrap up just a successful summer. The numbers are increasing on Spotify, so shout out to y'all for making that a reality. My relaxing R&B playlist is attracting crazy amount of followers right now. Like every day is getting crazy amount of new followers, and tens and tens of thousands of hits every day. So, and that's bringing a lot of traffic to my new my new projects that I put out. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, so you know what I mean? I appreciate everybody rocking with me. And man, that's it. I can't wait to get this board back because I'm anxious to make some new beats with it again. And I'm also looking at what new synthesizers are coming out in the next couple months. They got this new synthesizer called the Magnolia Synth. It's another Italian synthesizer that it's you're not going to see it everywhere, but it's supposed to be all that. It's supposed to be all that. So I'm thinking about purchasing that when that comes out, which that will be another pretty big investment. But like I said, I really believe in my music, y'all. So I just want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward when it comes to creating tracks. I never want to do it on I don't ever want to do it on a small level. I'm always trying to do it on the biggest level. So that means I'm trying to get the best sound. I'm trying to get my hand on the best sounds that I could play. I want the best piano sounds. I want the best lead sounds. I just like to have, really high quality sounds to choose from when I'm playing the keys, when I'm playing the synthesizers, when I'm programming drum sounds. I just want the absolute best sounds that are available. And so I will not withhold when it comes to investing. I will invest. I have invested and I continue to, because to me, the sound is so important. I really don't want to neglect that. You know what I mean? So investing into my sound got me my first certified gold record. And I don't, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't make those, investments into buying the right keyboards, the right synthesizers to make those chords and play those lead patches. Had I would have used the wrong keyboard, who knows if that particular song would have been what it was, you know what I mean? So when I created the instrumentation for the Cookie Kawaii Vibe, it was the Motif XF. I bought a limited edition white Motif XF and a Roland Jupiter 80 is both of the keyboards and synthesizers that I used to make the melody for that record. And when I read a lot of the forums and on Reddit, a lot of people think that I sampled from something else, but I didn't. It's crazy that people say that, and that's a huge compliment because all it was is the Roland Jupiter 80 and the Motif. So I had for the chords, there was some Rhodes in there, but I combined those Rhodes with a bunch of other partial sounds, and so it created like a soundscape. So when I would play the chord, there would be all these sputtering things that were happening at the same time, like little just little sputtering things going on. So I'm playing the chord and then you have, and it's like you'll hear all these little sputtering sounds when I'm playing the chord because I have it layered with all these partials on the Jupiter 80. So the Jupiter 80 is the board that I use to do the chords, and the synth that I use to actually play the lead, which is the that's actually called the R&B lead, soft R&B lead, and it's on the Motif XF. So any of my producer, keyboard collector people out there, go onto your old Motif XF, go to the lead sounds, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That's that soft R&B lead on the Motif XF. That's the lead sound that I use for Cookie Kawaii Vibe and featuring Tyga. Yeah, man. So that's what I used. And the Roland Jupiter 80 was basically, it's a Rhodes and a couple other pad sounds and some like fluttering sounds all combined together on one preset. And it kind of just gives like a cool soundscape effect to the chord progression. And that was it. And the song was really inspired by I'll Be Sure Night and Day. So if anybody wants to know what, what the instrumentation of Cookie Kawaii Vibe, what that was inspired by, not, I didn't sample anybody, but what I wanted to do is keep that inspiration. So I'll Be Sure Night and Day, and pretty much, Janet Jackson, Funny How Time Flies. That was kind of the inspiration behind those kind of chords. I wanted to keep, something that had that feel. It wasn't going to be the same because I wanted it to be original, but I wanted something with that feel, so the da, 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 da. And if you think about Night and Day, da, can't tell you how night and day. Da, da, da. So it's something that it was basically just me kind of tinkering around in that key. And obviously it was raised up a few pitches on the final version, but that was me just tinkering around how I could flip Night and Day, or how I could flip Janet Jackson, Funny How Time Flies. That's all it was. I was just trying to figure out how can I flip these kind of chords and make it like a completely new arrangement. And that's what ended up happening. So I was like, I finally came up with something, and I was like, oh, this sounds different enough where it's not copying it. But a lot of people are confused of where that melody comes from. It's just the original melody, but it was inspired by Night and Day and Janet Jackson, Funny How Time Flies. So just some food for thought, if anybody ever wondered. But that's about it, y'all. So I'm just washing some clothes right now, so I don't smell funky. Like DJ Quick, way too funky. I don't want, what I mean? Got to stay clean. And man, that's about it. So today, pretty soon I'm about to take my daily walk. I do my daily walk to get that cardio in, get that cardio for that heart, make sure that, you got to make sure you get that cardio for your heart, man. So you don't, you want to keep your system functioning, and keep that heart, in good condition. So make sure you get that brisk, some kind of a cardio, or even just a brisk walk for 35, 40 minutes is excellent. If you could do that every day, your heart is definitely going to be in better condition in the long term. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be doing that in a bit. And then, of course, working on more music, exercise, washing clothes. That's kind of boring, but I don't want to be way too funky. You know what I mean? So doing that, and just jotting things down on my vision board or my vision book, different goals that I have in mind, different milestones that I want to reach and everything. You know what I mean? So, man, yeah. How's everybody's summer been? I can't believe it's already almost coming to an end, y'all. I can't believe it. Summer is like my favorite time of the year. Everybody has their favorite time of the year, but my favorite time of the year it's always been summertime. Something about the blue skies, and today's kind of gloomy, but I just love my blue skies, and I'm a sunshine kind of dude, you know what I mean? So I love my summertime. Some people can't stand it though, because sometimes it's hard to stay cool. But hopefully you got a fan or some type of AC. But it also depends where you live. Certain places where I'm at. It's hot, but it's not not too hot. I'm out in the Northwest. You know what I mean? So it don't get really too hot out here. At least for not that long. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, man. But I just can't believe 2025. We're more than halfway through this year. It's been a wild year, man. But it's been a blessed year though. So, like I said, I was able to rebuild my studio. I had got rid of a lot of stuff a couple years ago, and kind of just started from, I wouldn't say scratch, but I was trying to experiment with new sounds, and And also too, it just was 2023 was kind of rough. You know what I mean? It was a rough year for me. And I was transitioning with my music business, and how, just everything was, it was a big switch that year, you know what I mean? So, and then 2025, started off really well, and it's continuing that way. So I just, I mean, when I mean it started off well, I mean financially. I don't want to beat around the bush. So some good money came through in that first 3 months from music royalties and sales, and really gave me the ability to start spending a bunch of money on equipment again. So anytime I make a decent amount of money, a good portion of it goes back into the music equipment, because to me, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big money person. Like, I'm a simple kind of minimalistic person, and my main goal is just to make the best music possible. If you give me, if I get if one day I get a check that's over $1 million, which I'm gonna claim it. I'm believing God for it right now. I'm gonna claim that. So, but if one day I get a royalty check that's like $1 million, what I would do with it is it's not any different from what I'm doing with it now. So I would just buy, I would find all kinds of unique equipment worldwide. I'd go and try to find the most unique synthesizers that are low key, maybe stuff that people hasn't heard of, or maybe vintage synthesizers that are, like the Yamaha CS80, or just the Elka synth, or, I'd be just spending it on stuff that I've never, tried out before, just so I could try to cultivate a little, some more uniqueness on my sound. So, so any kind of money I get, it's just always going back into me trying to be innovative with the sound of my instrumentals, and then buying plugins for, for my vocals on Pro Tools, and getting different kind of plugins that I can use for effects. So I guess to say I'm pretty much obsessed with the sound, all the little details. There's some people that can just be happy with their same keyboard there for 20 years. That's not me. I'm always looking for new sounds to use. So I like to experiment, and I like to keep trying to find different presets and create different presets on the synthesizers that I personally never heard before. And I continue to try to just explore when it comes to sound. That's pretty much my passion. I just want to explore sound and try to keep, continue to, try to be groundbreaking. You know what I mean? It's really up to the people if it's groundbreaking. So some of the stuff that I think is groundbreaking, some people are like, this ain't it. You know what I mean? But most of the time, if I make something that I really like, people tend to like it as well. But sometimes I'm wrong sometimes. So it happens to the best of us. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm just going to continue to invest in the sound and try to find more creative ways to bring the visuals to you guys. I want to do more traveling, and, make music from kind of random locations, in different places in the world, that's my passion. I just want to inspire you guys through the music, and bring some kind of visual to it as well. And, post my experience, and hopefully inspire other musicians to continue to explore and continue to try to be creative, because that's what it's all about. Being an artist and being a musician, it's all about just exploring and expressing yourself, and trying to be creative and leave something incredible, behind for the world to experience, and to, get through life, really. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about for me. So I'm continuously just trying to make the best stuff possible. But I'm gonna show you guys some stuff right now. I'm gonna go through some memorabilia. Yo. So if anybody is just tuning in, this video was about my broken synthesizer. If you want to know about that, you're going to have to rewind it back and to see what I was saying. But I've already explained that now, so I'm going to move on from that subject. But who remembers this? There was some of y'all that bought this CD from me. This is Lush Vibes. I put this out in 2021. So I put this out 2021. This is when I was renting. I had a different place then. I actually live in the same complex, but I was renting I'm on a higher floor now, but I got my first apartment at this place. Super dope apartment too. Panoramic views of the ocean and the lake and everything. 2-bedroom, and it was about 1,000 square feet, pretty close to it. And man, I was making mad beats out of that place. And this is the album that I had dropped when I got that place. You see the Prophet 10 synthesizer on there, and not many people get CDs anymore, but I still have a couple of these left. So if anybody's interested in owning one of these, just shoot me an email to tonysway1@gmail.com. If you still play CDs, I got a few copies of these left over. After that, I'm not going to press it up again. There's not as much reason to press up CDs for me these days. I personally like to just listen to them in the car. However, I got rid of one of my cars, and I'm using one of my older cars right now. One of my 90. I'm actually still driving my 97 Benz. Would you imagine? I had a much newer one that broke down on me. It broke down. It happens. Like I said, cars and electronics, man. So that broke down on me a couple years ago. But I have a well looked after 97 S-Class. It has the dope rims on it. It got the dope chrome rims, and like I'm a big old school 90s type of person. So I got that car because of the 50 Cent get rich or die trying. I got that car because of that movie, and to this day it's my favorite car. So I should like a lot of the newer stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, if I get like $100,000 to blow on a car, I don't even think I'll do it. I'd probably just customize the one that I have more. I'm really into the old school late 90s models of like Benzes and stuff. So I don't know. Like I said, most of my childhood was in the 90s. So, I guess you can never get that out of your system. But yeah, so that's that CD if you guys are interested. And I'm about to show you guys some real throwback stuff right now. Yeah, check this out. Yeah, man. Yo, check this out. This is a Tupac Shakur legacy book. That was a gift, I think way back in like 2007, man. But it's one of the things that I managed to hold on all these years. I've lost a lot of stuff through the years because I've moved around. Like I've lived in California, I've lived in Oregon, I lived all around Washington, so I lived in Nevada at one point. So I've moved up and down the West Coast, and I've lived off and on in the UK as well. So I get around when it comes to living. I like to experiment and try new places, but I got this when I was living in California as a gift. But this is actually a really dope book, man. It has a lot of poems from Tupac and a lot of stories about his life and stuff like that. But I don't want to get a copyright thing on my video, so I'll put that away. But dope book though. I don't even know if you can still get these, but yeah, this is dope book about Tupac's life and everything. So anybody who knows me knows that I was a super big Tupac fan. as a teenager and still am, but his music really inspired me. Kind of before I got back into R&B, I was really listening to a lot of pop music when I was 12, 13, 14. Um, so his lyrics were, he always stood out because he had a lot of substance in a lot of his songs, whether it was like Keep Your Head Up or, songs like that, or Brenda's Got a Baby. He did a lot of thought-provoking music, you know what I mean, that made you think, or Heaven's Got a Ghetto. Obviously, that was a posthumous release, but as a young man growing up, the lyrics would provoke me to really think about life, and I think that's why I gravitated towards it. So, rest in peace to Tupac. But yeah, he lived a very brilliant. He had a very inspiring life, short life, but inspiring. You know what I mean? So he's definitely an artist that anybody who does music should study his career. You know what I mean? So everybody should study his career. You know what I mean? Definitely a true artist who did what he believed in. And I respect musicians that, have the goal to actually express what they believe in and talk about what's important to them. Because a lot of people don't always have the ability to think for themselves. And Tupac was a trailblazer when it came to, expressing what he believed in. And not everybody has, the gall to actually go through with what they really truly think. And but yeah, so shout out to Tupac. Yeah, man. So I appreciate everybody tuning in with me. So pray for me and my synthesizers that that the other one doesn't have the same problem, so I can keep getting these beats to y'all, man. And I think this about wraps up this live stream. So I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in, and make sure to drop us a super chat if you appreciate this content, if you want to see more of it. And so, yeah, make sure you support by dropping a super chat. You can support me by going to TonySwayMusic.com and leasing a couple beats. There's also a bunch of exclusive beats available. Excuse me, got tongue-tied. So yeah, you can support me by going to TonySwayMusic.com and picking up some tracks or buying some exclusives to beats today. So I got that buy one, get 19 free on any lease of your choosing, whether it's the unlimited, whether it's the track out, or even if it's just the non-exclusive $50 lease, you can get an extra 19 of those at no charge. As long as you just add them to the cart, you'll see the price will not go up, and that's the discount. And then you could just check out from the site. And if you have any questions about these tracks, you can always just hit me on the email, TonySway1@gmail.com. You know how we do. So that's about it for today, y'all. I'm gonna go do my exercise and get started on some more music. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you thumb up these videos so my page can continue to grow. Thumb up the beats, thumb up these live streams, show some love. Because creators, we do need your support in order for these pages to grow. So if you appreciate that R&B sound and that, that 90s R&B vibe, make sure you like, at least put a like on the video, you know what I mean? Or drop a super chat or buy a beat if you can. I know these days things are a lot more expensive, so I truly do appreciate it. God bless y'all. And this is your boy, Tony Sway of TonySwayMusic.com. I will be talking to you guys soon, hopefully. So I appreciate it. Talk to y'all later. One love.